All right, hello, and welcome to the big show. This is Dim Lights and Stiff Drinks, Dive Bars of Seattle podcast. This is dingy taverns, back rooms, saloons, gritty roadhouses, and dive bars of the greater Seattle area. We explore the seedy history and salacious backstory of these timeless drinking establishments, along with, sampling what's on tap and swapping some tall tales along the way. We hang out in the places where sorrows are drowned and future regrets are made, so you don't have to. That's right. Yep.
But we want you to do it, too.
Damn straight.
I think we should get rid of that line. We want you to come to these places and lose some money. And
absolutely.
Drown
but,
some.
It's tongue-in-cheek.
And, some of those regrets are, they build character, right? Make us who we are.
That's right.
So, nothing wrong with regrets. Yeah, all right, I'll scratch that line out. Okay. We don't just talk about these awesome dive bars in the confines of some cushy recording studio somewhere. No.
We leave the house, we get in the car, we put on some pants.
Get in an Uber.
Speak for yourself.
Get on our electric scooter and come on down to... No. We're coming to you live directly from Seattle's greatest watering holes. And tonight we are at Hattie's Hat in beautiful downtown Ballard, Seattle. With me as always is the Dim Lights crew. Bob? No. I think we should retire that. It's fucking season 3, and we gotta keep it fresh, right? All right. No more stupid jokes. Bob, the producer extraordinaire.
Producer Supreme.
Noted historian and celebrity author Brad the Stash Panda.
Hello.
Sweet MF and Lou.
Happy to be here, thank you.
All right, and I'm your host for this episode. I think this is episode 3 of season 3.
That's
I believe you're right, yeah.
I think probably has some sort of mystical, significant, numerological something or other going on, but I'm just too dense to understand it. Anyway, it's kind of cool. So, like I said, today we are in Hattie's Hat. We're going to get into the salacious backstory and history of this awesome dive bar here in downtown Ballard. But first, Lou, I think you have some updates and some housekeeping
we had
for us,
some
right?
housekeeping, but Brad, we have to give a shout out to our friends at the Baranoff. We've got some bad news.
Yeah. So from what I've heard, the Baranoff sustained some major water damage inside. From what I read, they started repairing said water damage. But apparently, when you're doing repairs, especially major ones, you got to get permits. They did not apparently get said permits, so the city came down on them and put a work order. They red tagged it. So they're closed indefinitely, but that's all I've heard. I don't know when they're due to reopen.
So, somebody's got to get paid, some palms got to be greased, and then we'll see the Baranoff. The Baranoff will rise again. Mark my words.
That's right.
But apparently it happened right after we recorded there. So
it was probably us. All right. You ready for another round?
Well, good timing. Shout out.
Yeah, I'll take another one too. The Rubens.
The Rubens?
Yep.
Good for now.
You're good for now?
Good. I'm good for now.
Oh, you're good for now?
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll take one more. Same Black Raven Pilsner.
Yeah, that's what we have. And you ready? Okay.
Nice.
Shout out to Lola, our server for this evening. She's been fantastic, super excellent host for us here at Hattie's Hat. And Brad, why don't you tell us a little bit about Hattie's Hat and where we're coming from this episode?
Yeah, like you mentioned, we're here at the long-standing Hattie's Hat, which bills itself as Ballard's last stand since 1904.
Wow.
And indeed, this lounge/diner known for its stiff drinks and comfort food is one of the last remnants of old Ballard. So this place started out as a saloon known as the Ballard Bar in 1904. Very inventive name, the Ballard Bar, and was run by a Swedish guy by the name of Nels Olsson. During its run as a saloon, it certainly had its share of run-ins with the police, usually for various gambling violations, and of course, Washington state prohibition started in 1916, so there was the issue of alcohol as well.
Oh yeah, that.
And that too.
Yeah, I would imagine this place has got a long police blotter when we get to the police blotter section. Am I correct?
There's not actually a police blotter section. I mean, they got busted a bunch of times in the old days, but there's no good robbery or burglary stories.
We don't have a rap sheet to read off.
We don't have a rap
Hattie's
sheet
Hat.
for this particular one.
All right, house band Satan's Pilgrims. Play the song anyway. Hit me.
So Olson died in 1919, and the place was then sold and became the Old Home Cafe, or just the Old Home. This was in 1920. Apparently there was still plenty of gambling and boozing, and at some point the old house ran as a soft drink parlor, which we all know was a code word for being a speakeasy.
Order a Coke and they throw a little nip in it.
Soft drink parlor.
Irish it up.
Yeah, Seattle had a lot of soft drink parlors suddenly emerge after Prohibition. After Prohibition was repealed in 1933, it resumed serving booze and operated as a drinking establishment that also happened to serve food. In 1954, it fell under new ownership, a Swedish couple, and changed its name to Malmens, or Malmens Fine Foods, but everyone called it Malmens, where it basically went from being a drinking establishment that happened to serve food to a restaurant that also happened to serve booze. So it became more of a boozy diner. This
you
was
could
before-
smoke in here. It was back in the day when people
you could definitely smoke
were
in the
always
50s.
drinking, always smoking.
Oh, yeah.
By law, you were required.
Yeah. Yeah, the good old days. So the new owners really spruced it up and gave it a good renovation. In fact, they even hired a renowned local artist by the name of Fred Oldfield to paint a 24-foot mural that remains to this day. And in fact, we're standing right underneath it.
It's looming over us right now.
Looming
and
over
awesome. It's probably, we've been to some amazing places that have had some killer murals.
Little
right?
Red Hen,
Absolutely.
Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
Totally. But I think this has got to take, this is probably the biggest. This is one big, continuous, freaking
Well, and there's like
20
people
yard.
This has been around for so long, and people have like
huge.
done all these weird interpretations of what it means, because right over here there's a woman standing at the gate and another woman behind her like blowing a horn.
Like a Ricola?
Yeah. And people have speculated what this possibly means, and one of the theories is that like there was some adultery going on, and the woman with the horn was blowing the horn to like sound the alarm, like, hey, you know.
Ixnay on the
Yeah.
adultery A.
Yeah. Like the husband's coming home.
Well,
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's
I look at
the
these
popular
mountain
interpretation.
ranges in the background, and I
Yeah.
think, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's like the Olympics. It's beautiful, but apparently it is not the Olympics. It just happens to look like a awesome.
So
Yeah.
she's the wife and that's the husband?
Well, that's
Well-
according to the popular theory. Who knows? I don't know if
Okay,
this
yeah.
guy back in the 50s was intending that.
Long
but-
time mistress.
So there's a man on a horse
time.
and buggy coming up the road waving at his wife.
And this
she's-
woman over here is blowing the horn, and that's the
And his
popular
wife's
theory.
standing in front of him, looking up at the sky thinking, fuck you, your harpy's standing right here behind me playing the clarinet.
I
And
think
behind her is a woman playing the clarinet, looking the other way.
I don't know, Lou.
I think the
Don't
dude-
think about it too hard, man.
the
Just
dude
go
on the
along
horse
with it.
is like, oh yeah, she's
Lou's
blowing
like,
the horn. Well,
there's
we
three
know that.
mountains, though. What does that possibly mean?
We know what
Who
that
knows?
means.
You
Yeah.
know what that means, third titty.
Yeah.
Hey
Grand
now,
Tetons.
this is a kids podcast.
Well, but
it's
the
a
cool
family
thing about
show.
this, so Fred Oldfield was a really renowned artist back in the day. He painted a bunch of murals around town, including a bunch of taverns back in the 1950s. And there's a few that are still kind of around. This is the biggest example of his. But he has a whole art gallery down in Puyallup. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And he's kind of considered one of the top Western artists that paints Western scenes.
It is
Very cool.
not only
Very cool.
not only its size and magnificence, but the quality is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's breathtaking. It's not like you hired your cousin's kid to come in and paint some shit on the wall or graffiti it or whatever. It's like no. This is like art, chick.
Yeah.
Legit.
It's pretty impressive.
It's like art and stuff.
That's amazing.
And there's hardly any beer stains on it, which is quite impressive. Yeah, quite impressive.
They're,
Tobacco.
yeah.
I wonder though, it
I was
doesn't
gonna
look
say the
too
same thing.
like yellow or brown from the old days of smoking. I wonder if they cleaned
I bet
it
those
up.
mountains were a lot prettier and brighter back in 1970.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right.
Now they're
sure you're right.
kind of gray, kind of brown, kind of tan.
It's good.
So in the 1960s, the place again fell under new ownership, which is when it became Hattie's Hat. Apparently the owner's mother-in-law was named Hattie, which is where it got its name. And that's kind of a weird thing, right? Like naming like a restaurant or a business or like a sailboat or something after your mother-in-law. Like I know people do it with their wives and their kids and stuff, but your mother-in-law?
Brownie
kinda-
points. Yeah.
Right? You think that's what it was?
A little bit digging themselves out of a hole, I'm imagining.
Trying to get in some good favor
Yeah,
there?
absolutely.
Hey, we just opened this restaurant. We named it after you.
She's like, whatever.
As
Yeah.
far as Seattle bars go, though, Hattie's hat kind of reminds me of Shelley's leg.
Yeah.
Shelley's leg.
Leg, hat.
Nice. So she lost her hat in an accident and got a big lawsuit
I don't know.
on Bastille Day.
I don't know where the hat
Yeah.
part came from, but Hattie was apparently his
I
mother.
did not see a mural of any hats.
No.
Maybe I'm pretty sure I can figure this out. She had this amazing hat that this guy couldn't take his eyes off of.
She had what?
An amazing hat that a guy couldn't take his eyes off of. He was like, I got to name it after your hat. Do you have a name for it? And she's like, no, it's just a hat.
Do you think he was like maybe in love with his mother-in-law?
I think so.
Complimenting his
Because of this
mother-in-law
hat?
and she's like, yeah, whatever.
Hattie's hat was named after the fact that she liked to play color games. She'd have 3 different hats, and it was kind of, pick ball.
Oh, hustler.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
hustler.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like Mariners games, find the ball.
Took the son-in-law for a big wad of cash. Yep. Yeah.
Well, at any rate, it's been operating as Hattie's Hat ever since the 60s. It's currently owned by Max Genero, who took over ownership in 2009. Max also owns the Sunset Tavern, the Smoke Shop, and Al's Tavern in Wallingford, and he recently purchased the Rendezvous in Belltown.
Yep.
So he's
The classic
a mover and
establishment
shaker
we
for
will
sure.
be visiting soon, perhaps even this season.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
thought he might be around to pop on the episode tonight, but he won't be. Probably because he encountered a plumbing problem the second he bought the Rendezvous. So he was working on that the first time we tried to
Yeah, I
come
think
here.
he's still elbows deep in renovating, the,
renovating the
Rendezvous.
Rendezvous.
So I don't
So-
think we'll see
A
him
putter
tonight.
problem? He's out on the back nine, or
I think so.
yeah? Okay. All right.
But I had the chance to talk to him on the phone a few times. He's a very cool guy. And he's one of those guys that's really passionate about preserving the historical character of like all the places he owns, including this place, obviously, as you can see.
Yeah.
In fact, his nickname is the Reviver because he's dedicated to revitalizing and maintaining the city's old dive bars. So cheers to Max.
Good guy.
Guy after
Good
our own
guy
heart.
to have in our.
We should put his
Good
name in
side.
the title of the show. This guy sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Max's Dim Lights and Stiff Drinks, the dive bars of Seattle.
Hopefully, he can help us retain all these classic establishments before they are gone for good.
Yeah. And apparently, when I was talking to him, he knows Avout. Well, they're
I'm
gonna
sure
be,
he does.
Yeah.
They're going to be neighbors soon.
Yeah, they're going to be neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in addition to having such a dedicated owner, part of Hattie's Hat charms comes from its original and historical decor. We talked about the mural that we're standing under, but also if you look over to your right there, there's an original Brunswick bar. And it's an impressive piece of architecture for sure.
Now, that's probably from the big, massive remodel that you described, right?
This is actually from when it was originally a saloon, when it was the Ballard bar. So that's when these... Yeah, so these...
What is a Brunswick bar?
Well,
sorry.
I'm going to get into it. So
Okay.
Brunswick, the company started out in 1850 making pool tables. Okay?
Oh, that same company?
That same company. And those are like the really nice pool tables. They're, made of
saw 'em all the time
mahogany
growing
and
up, yeah.
with the really nice
Like the
legs and stuff.
Steinway of pool tables.
Yeah, for sure.
And
So
they
that's how
also-
they got their
yeah.
start. So they started out with pool tables. Apparently Abraham Lincoln bought one of their pool tables and kind of gave him a shout out back in the day, and it
Get
elevated
Abe
their
Lincoln.
status. Yeah, it made them.
Bump in the day. That was huge.
That was huge. I mean, the president. So at some point, like in the 1880s and stuff, they started making other things in addition to pool tables. And one of the things they started making was these bars, known as the Brunswick bars. And there was all kinds of different styles of these Brunswick bars. And they became very popular. So a lot of we've seen a couple. The Merchant's Cafe had a Brunswick bar.
Oh.
I believe so. I believe Jules Maid also has a Brunswick bar.
It is very Gothic looking in its appearance, and it's amazing because it
Yeah.
looks like it could be old from 1904, but it also is incredibly well preserved. Right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful, the wood and all the filigree on there, and the roping and the
Yeah.
the craftsmanship
A ton
is
of
incredible.
detail. It looks like it could be one piece of wood, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so there's bar backs and there's bar fronts. So when Brunswick would sell their bars, they would come in pairs. this is a bar back. You know, this is the back
in the
part.
front's the counter you kneel
Yeah,
up
this
to.
is where you put the cash register on, and you got all your stacks of booze bottles on display. And the bar front is, of course, where people sit. Now, the original bar front is no longer here, so probably at some point during some renovation or something, they removed the front. I don't know if it fell in disrepair or something, but they kept the bar back. And you see this sometimes. Sometimes they're not always together as a set.
The bar back absolutely looks period correct. The bar front also looks period correct for like 1970. Yeah, like
they don't quite
70s
match.
or something. So I'm thinking that was part of, probably that's the part of the massive remodel that
I
you're
think
talking
so.
about.
I think
Whereas the back remains, but the new got a little newfangled.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Now,
Yeah, green and red earth tone tiles
yeah.
versus a gothic
Real
piece of
70s
sculpted
vibe.
wood.
Yeah.
Now, part of like
It's
the
awesome.
whole myth and legend about these Brunswick bars is that they were shipped around the Cape Horn to Seattle and different places up and down the West Coast. There's a lot of Brunswicks in San Francisco, Portland, Seattle. I want to throw water on that though, because it doesn't make any sense. So Brunswick started out in Ohio. That's where they got their start.
It sounded
And then-
English to me.
Ohio?
No, Brunswick sounds like an English name.
Oh,
Yeah, the Earl of Ohio.
yeah. So the Brunswick, so they started in Ohio, and then at some point when they got really popular, they set up a manufacturing plant in Chicago. So they're in the Midwest, right? That's
Why
where
not
they
just
were
put
stationed.
it on a truck to San Francisco instead
Exactly.
of sailing it around the Cape Horn?
Exactly. Why would you bring it over to the East Coast, load it on a ship, and then bring it around the entire continent? Up. I mean, that's a huge thing. They call that the equivalent of climbing Mount Everest, like the boating equivalent, because it's such a long route.
And
Back
it's
then,
like,
it took a month.
It's no bullshit too. It's so choppy, especially coming around the Cape where the two oceans
yeah.
meet. It's totally treacherous. It
Well,
would have
it
been
would
a
have to
miserable
be-
6 months to get that bar to you. I could have driven.
Well, and it would
you
have to be
in a
cost
week.
prohibitive. It would probably cost more to ship than that the damn bar's actually worth, right?
He was eccentric.
Brunswick?
No, whoever owned this bar, they were like, I won't take it unless you ship it around the Cape. I want
Right.
it to go around the world before
Only
it
the
gets
best.
here.
Well,
Only the
the
best.
one at Merchant's Cafe, that was also the story with that, too, that it was also shipped around the Cape
Yeah.
Horn.
Yes, I do remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, but again, I'm
But I
going
thought
to
it was
throw
coming
water
from
on that
somewhere
theory because it
else
just doesn't
besides
make sense. Why wouldn't you
Ohio.
not just railroad it from the Midwest over to here? Why would you go on this ridiculous long route? Yeah,
Your preferred choice.
yeah.
It sounds like maybe a little additional research might be necessary. To
Well, I
figure
did
out-
No, we
research
can
it and
issue
I-
the correction now. On a previous episode where they said Brunswick bars go around the
We're
Cape,
correcting that. Yeah,
we're correcting that now.
Well,
They
and I
came
talked
from
with,
Chicago
about
on a
it
train.
with Max, too, the owner, and he agreed with me. He was like, "Yeah, I heard the same thing, and it doesn't make any
Oh,
sense
cool.
at all that they would
Yeah.
go on this really super long route." So anyway,
It was actually delivered by helicopter.
helicopter, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like
Why
Chinook.
helicopters were invented
Chinook.
in
that
Seattle.
would be like moving to
Seattle.
Tacoma from here and like air freighting all your furniture down to Los Angeles and then having it shipped up to Tacoma. Like, why would you do that? Why
Okay,
would?
Bezos.
Yeah. So anyway, it doesn't make any sense. Also looking around, there's in the back there's an original Malman's sign from when it was Malman's, and there's also some Fred Oldsfield paintings that they found back in the 90s down in the basement, which was pretty cool. I mean, it was like these buried kind of artifacts that they uncovered when they were rummaging around back then. So those are on display too. So all the stuff that they have on display, the murals, the bars, the paintings and stuff, it's a very cool place. They've done a really good job with preserving that. Overall, Hattie's Hat is a great part of all the old Ballard locations that help keep the character of this neighborhood alive. Places like the Sunset, the Smoke Shop, and the Connor Byrne Pub.
What's the hardware?
King's Hardware.
King's Hardware. Yeah. Don't forget that one.
We'll
So-
get into that.
So if you're in Ballard and want to grab a bite to eat and experience a bit of old Ballard, then you can definitely can't go wrong with Hattie's Hat. So what do you guys think about all that?
I'm still digging the bar back that you're talking about. It's amazing, and
Yeah.
you really got to describe it. Radio doesn't do, or podcast audio
No,
just
it's hard
doesn't
to
do it
really
justice. Right?
describe
It is amazing. Incredible woodwork. It goes all the way up to the ceiling,
Yeah.
and it's got full mirror backing across the entire thing, which
Yeah.
is not. It's not uncommon to have mirrors in the bar back like you described, right?
Yeah.
But to have them so huge and so clear and so uncluttered, like normally a lot of these bars we go into, they have like an old bar back with mirrors. They're like plastered with stickers like Coors Light and like pull
Yeah.
tabs and all sorts of shit
No,
on
this
the
one,
mirrors
they-
or whatever. These are clean, pristine. It
Yeah.
just really kind of adds to the mystique of that bar back.
Yeah.
It's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should also mention Jeremy's got the best seat in the house. We're in this really cool circular wooden booth. It's like a carved out circle booth.
We should be playing poker.
We should be doing something.
Or we should be in like an
Jeremy's right in
Italian
the
mob
sight line of
restaurant or
it.
something, in the back, making some deals or something.
That's right. But yeah, I love it. And I love the last episode we talked about. Fifth Avenue Pub was a place I'd driven by a million times and never been in. This is a place I've been in a million times. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those episodes too.
No, I mean, getting back to the decor, the bar is fantastic, right? But like we said, there's clearly some evidence of the old, but also the newer, like maybe 70s, 80s remodel, things like that. So we've got, perfect example, beautiful dark hardwood oak back with mirrors and just a full 9 yards there. And then right in front of it, like a 70s disco mirror ball.
Yeah. Very eclectic.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
are
really
they
nice
drinking?
juxtaposition.
Are they drinking steam beer here? I mean, how far does it go back? Jeremy, did you check out the tap handles? You want to tell us a little bit about what's on tap?
Like a little intro of what you're drinking there, Lou.
Do you want to talk about the tap report?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So it's interesting. So not only do we have a mix of old and not quite as old in the bar, we got the older beer back from Brunswick, and then got a newer, newfangled 70s or whatever remodel in the bar front. Similar situation with what's on tap, right? We've got some clearly an older stack of taps. I'm saying maybe 8 tap handles, plus a newfangled little stubby on the right-hand side there with some ciders, because that's
3 of them.
That's all the rage these days, right? So love it. So great selection of beers, a little bit more eclectic than we typically see in a dive bar,
Yeah.
which I'm all about. So that's cool there. Like the few ciders on tap, like we've talked about, very ubiquitous, even with the diviest of dive bars. We're in Seattle, people, so you're gonna have a good cider on tap these days,
Yeah.
right?
Is
So
that,
what
did you get a
get,
cider?
man?
Well,
you got a cider, right?
You know what is a little unique with Hattie's Hat that we haven't seen in many of the dive bars that we've been in, a couple, but not many, is they list the beers on the menu, right?
Means you got to print them out a lot. It's a pain in the ass. So they're going that extra mile.
That's right. Or they don't bother changing them very damn often, which is fine by me because the selection of beers is actually pretty damn good, right? So we've got a honey badger cider, like we talked about, a Black Raven, one of my favorite breweries,
Yep.
Fremont
Oh,
Lush
solid.
IPA, which is we've seen it a lot of
Actually,
different-
yeah, they did good with getting that out there.
I personally am drinking a Kraken IPA, which is something we've seen in a couple of dive bars. Super popular resurgence when the Kraken, came to Seattle and all yada yada. We got some Bizarre Brewing, which is a first that I think I've seen
Yep.
in Stoop, Silver City, another great one, and Deschutes. So some excellent beers on
And they
tap.
have a rotating IPA. I have the Rubens.
Absolutely. So a really nice balance of some local stuff
Yeah,
that we're
it's good
all
stuff.
really familiar with, and some tried
Well, and
and
I
true.
got a Black Raven, which is something you don't see a lot of, which is kind of
Right.
surprising because Black Raven's actually has some clout in this town. It's actually a pretty
Yeah.
popular
Yeah, it's
brewery.
at
At a
every
wooden
store, every convenience
Yeah,
store.
but you don't
It's
see it
got
on
a
tap very
footprint.
much. At least we haven't encountered it very often.
Yeah,
Probably
you're
maybe
right.
the second place we've seen Black Raven, but yeah, you're right. Not
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah, but I'm all for it. Black Raven is one of my favorites.
You gonna get a Black
Tap
Raven
House.
on the next
You know what?
round?
I think I am.
Goddamn. Do that thing.
Yeah, let's pause for a second, do round 2, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more what's on tap.
Word.
All right, Satan's Pilgrims, take us out. Hot.
We're back, round 2. I am excited. I'm excited because I got a Bazaar Brewing fresh hop pale ale that I'm drinking from, which fresh hop pale ale I've had before, but it's awesome. Kind of a trendy style of beer. A lot of the fresh hops. Normally you see a fresh hop IPA. This is a fresh hop pale ale. It's delicious.
Now, would you not say the fresh hop has a slightly stronger hop presence?
It does, but not as strong as a typical IPA. That's what's kind of cool about this. Fresh
The
hop.
bitterness isn't coming from the hops. It's right.
It is, but it's kind of hidden. It's not in like the super hoppiness of an IPA. It's like it's buried in the,
more
the
subtle.
pale ale, right? I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Not to everybody's taste.
Sharp but clean.
Exactly.
Because it's fresh hops. So
But it's also from Bazaar Brewing, which
Okay.
this quite possibly could be the first Bazaar Brewing beer I've ever tried. Loving it. Bazaar
On
Brewing
tap.
out of like literally a couple of blocks away over on Ballard along the water there.
Yeah, the brewmaster brings it over on his back every time they need a kid.
That's right.
That's right.
yeah, you just
Brings
take the
it up.
dolly down there. You don't even
So
have to put it on a
we
truck.
were talking about what's on
Throw it in
tap.
the car.
Hyper local, love it. Definitely a trend for Seattle area bars. Even the diviest of dive bars are still going to do some hyper local, awesome local Pacific Northwest beers. Perfect example, Bazaar Brewing out of Fremont. Loving it.
Awesome.
Also, another shout out though here to Hattie's Hat though is they have a pretty epic full cocktail menu. And
Read us a couple.
full,
What's on there?
Okay, all right. So
Give us a taste.
not every dive bar is going to list their like house cocktails or signature cocktails, but Hattie Hat is a little
Yeah,
more
like
upscale.
I would think Jameson on the rocks is a signature cocktail.
Not here. They kick your ass out on the street. Hell no. Well, first of all, we got the Bill Murray
Nice.
bourbon, cognac, amaretto, and orange bitters. It sounds delicious. I might have to order that for round 3. We got the dark old fashioned, not to be confused with a normal
Now,
old fashioned.
how is the dark old fashioned different than the traditional?
dark rum? Damari
rum.
simple syrup and bitters.
Instead
Sounds
of whiskey.
Pretty
Yeah,
good.
instead of
And
bourbon.
I am very intrigued by the dirty hippie. It's a little trendy, little trendy.
Is there some patchouli in there?
Some sandalwood.
Cloves.
There's some peanut butter whiskey and Kahlua.
Tickets to a
Which
dead
is-
show.
But to make it super hippie, there's oat milk.
Is there?
So
It actually sounds pretty good.
it actually sounds pretty good. A little trendy, but it sounds pretty good. And then last on this list here, Moonchild, Empress Royal Gin, lavender
Gin
bitters,
drink.
soda water.
You lost me at gin. Anybody here drink gin, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, every now and then. Gin,
Bob, you've had done a gin?
gin
Yep.
and tonic.
You ever had a
Squeeze a
really,
lime.
really good, well-prepared slow gin fizz?
Yeah, that is good.
Change your life.
What about a gin Ricky?
That's good too.
Very
Well, a
old
lot
school.
of distilleries make really good gin around here. I've had some
Absolutely.
good gin at some of the local
There's a reason for
distilleries.
that. It's one of the easiest alcohols to make.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. So if you're starting out and kind of
Not poo-pooing any awesome local gin
Yeah.
makers because some of them are fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that and vodka.
Nice. You don't have to put the shit in the wood barrel. You're just like in the bathtub into the bottle kind of party.
Bathtub gin. I don't want to put you on the spot, Lou, but I would love to learn a little bit more about where we at because we are in downtown Ballard. We all talked about before the podcast started about what a biatch it is to park around here, but also it's a pretty fucking cool block that we were on. So Hattie's Hat, there's a bunch of other amazing bars, some divey and some not so divey. There's some newer, like kind of hipster joints around here, but it's a very,
Yep.
very cool neighborhood. If you
It's a
haven't
good
been
mix
here,
still.
Yeah.
if you-
There's
if-
a lot of fork and barrel and crate and barrel and
Absolutely.
the spoon and the
Some
octopus.
real
but
Star,
there's like
real Star Wars.
Hattie's Hat, Sunset
Real
Tavern,
Star Wars,
Tractor
absolutely.
Tavern.
And this row has come, there's been some amazing bars and restaurants come and go over the years, tipping our classes
Yep.
for some of the ones that are no longer here. But there's still some pretty badass, bars and restaurants and businesses in this neighborhood. Like you said, Brad, this is one of the, older establishments. There's plenty of old, historic registered buildings in this neighborhood.
Oh, yeah,
It's pretty
for
cool.
sure.
You're
Yeah.
walking down the street and it's
The
like,
whole neighborhood is on the historical preservation list. You
Yeah,
can't fuck with it. It's like Pioneer Square.
yeah.
We just were talking about that outside. It's basically Pioneer Square North. There is no other neighborhood like this. You walk outside, they're brick buildings, shit, the first street is brick, or it's a stone street, you know.
All brick.
Yeah.
And a lot of those buildings have been gutted due to fires, but they keep the brick facades there
can't
because
take off the
they're fucking
facade 'cause it's
bulletproof.
preserved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's registered and it's bulletproof. I mean, firing and taking that shit up.
Yeah.
That's true. And we were on Ballard Avenue, where we could do a whole season of shows here.
Pretty much.
This is a great place for an old school bar pub crawl. Start here at Hattie's, then you go to the Sunset
Crawl.
Tavern.
Sounds like a damn good idea.
That's right. Then you go to the Tractor Tavern, Lock and Keel, Ballard Smoke Shop, also owned by Max.
Yep.
Shout out. King's Hardware, which is not
Classic.
a hardware store,
Classic.
which is a good one to mention next to Ballard Smoke Shop because it's actually not a smoke shop. Ballard Smoke Shop's a bar. King's Hardware is
Bar.
a bar. And also new here, shout out to Charles Finkel, Pike Brewing.
That's right.
Has a tap
Oh, yeah,
house,
that's right,
like,
yeah.
right next door, like 2 doors down from here.
Yeah.
Right? And
Our good friend Charles.
yeah, Bad Albert's, Connorburn Pub, and then there are all the new places like Skull Beer Hall and the Noble Fur, which you think Noble Fur's been around a while, but it's like 2010.
And if
Fits
you want
right
to
in
get
there.
dangerously close to Fremont, you can stumble on over to Firehouse.
So yeah, if you want to do a pub crawl here, I just named 11 amazing bars.
Yeah.
And there's also a bunch of killer places to eat. You want to put foundation on that alcohol you're about to pour on it?
And some killer places to watch some fantastic live music.
That's right.
Great music scene in this neighborhood.
Her name comes up again. Brandy Carlisle used to play at Sunset all the time.
Oh, did she?
Now you got to go to the Gorge to see her.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We're taking this podcast down to the Brandy Carlisle echelons. Is that what's happening here? Is that
That's
really?
right. So yeah, Ballard Ave is on the National Register of Historic Places. It was placed there in 1976, so you don't have to worry about any development or anything wiping the charm out of the place. We all know that Ballard is home to a large Swedish Nordic population, and apparently Sweden knows it too. This is hilarious. Check it out. In 1976,
is Ballard a sister city?
it is indeed. In 1976, when it was put on the register, guess who was there to read the proclamation?
Stockholm.
Close, Brad. No looking it up. Bob.
Sasquatch.
The King of Sweden. King Gustaf of Sweden came here and did the dedication
Oh, yeah,
when Ballard
he was-
Avenue got put on the register.
He was guest on episode 13, season 2, right? Didn't we have him on the... Came and talked about Ballard dive bars?
And in not vanishing Seattle, King Gustaf is still around. He was in place in 1973. 3 years later, got his ass to Ballard, and they decided to keep him around. So
A regular at Hattie's hat, I'm sure.
He's a regular.
Yeah.
How does that?
There's a
And this
reserve
is-
table.
And this is even crazier, but King Gustaf isn't the only king to make the schlep to Ballard to dedicate stuff.
All the kings come to Ballard. If I had a nickel.
It's called Bergen Park, and it's not really a park. It's a concrete, almost art installation. You know what I'm talking about? The triangle at Denny,
Yep.
right by the
Yep.
theater. All the Nordic flags are up, and those weird fucking mushroom sculptures.
Right next to
talking
the art
about?
park.
Exactly. It was dedicated in 1975 by King Olaf V of Norway. Come on, make some noise, people.
Norway in the house.
Two Nordic kings came to Ballard to dedicate stuff.
Yeah, sure, you betcha.
Yeah, sure, you betcha. And so what do you think of
that?
that?
Shit up about Ballard, man. That's legit.
It's
Yeah, sure.
yeah,
I think
it
we
is
need to
a-
go find
it's a
some
serious-
lutefisk and have some dinner.
Norwegian neighborhood. It's not like even Norway. Hey, I'm thinking of moving. You should go to Ballard and Seattle, Washington,
So I
United
think-
States.
From the takeaway from all of this is clearly Seattle invented Scandinavia.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
yeah.
Kings come here when you call them.
That's right.
So, like, who do you think we could get for the dedication? I think Pat Cashman would do it. He's like, I can call the King of Norway. He'll do it. You want the King of Sweden? I know his number too. So I found out one more thing. We're running out of where we at Ballard because once you do
We
like
covered it a few times.
3,
Yeah.
4, 5,
This
you're really
is what,
talking
a
about.
fifth Ballard area dive bar we visited. I gotta
Yeah, I don't
revisit the
know
deep
what
catalog.
number it is, but
Yeah, I
we've
think
been
it's
to a
around
few.
5.
Yeah.
But there's more to come too. We listed like those 11 that you just listed. All of them should probably be episodes at some point in the future, and maybe they will be.
Yeah, we should
Yeah.
do like a Ghostbusters thing where we have the recording equipment on our back and we do like a 10 episode dim lights, but only do it in the same amount of time. Just like 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, 10 here. What do you think?
You keep talking, and all I keep thinking about is pub crawl. Pub crawl. And we'll just record the shit out of it.
Okay. But I haven't mentioned it in all the other episodes, but Ballard's named after Captain Ballard,
Duh.
right? Captain William Ballard. He's one of the 3 founders of the neighborhood. He was a manager of the Seattle National Bank in the 1890s. And before that, he was a captain of a steamship called the Zephyr that went back and forth between Seattle, Tacoma, and Olympia.
That is an interesting career transition, right? You're the captain of a steamship, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to get into banking.
Yeah, they just kind of read it. He's also known for his excellent interview skills. Did you know that?
We should take those.
All right.
Yeah, what do you know about running a bank? It's pretty much the same as running a steamship. You just keep the steam engine going, make sure the crew's not lollygagging.
Stoke in enough coal, and out comes raw power.
So yeah, he went from steamship operator, and the Zephyr was the steamship he operated, and it was like the first steamship in this area, and it went Seattle, Tacoma, Stellicum,
shit.
Olympia. And it was
First-
just kind of
first
like
commuter
a
ferry.
commuter boat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, that's what this neighborhood is named after, Captain Ballard of the Zephyr, the first bus. But how he got this 106 acres of Ballard is even cooler. So a guy owed him some money from a business debt, and the guy was like, I don't have the cash to pay you, but I can give you this big chunk of supposedly worthless timberland over by Salmon Bay. And this says Captain Ballard said, it sounds like a shitty deal, but I'm kind of done with you, so I'm going to flip a coin, and if I win, you pay me cash and do it reasonably soon. If you win, I'll take your shitty land in Salmon Bay.
And we know how that coin toss turned out.
Yep.
That's right. But then this guy met a Midwestern timber magnate, and he was like a smooth talker, and he was like, you're a timber guy? I got this land in Seattle right on the bay. You should put a sawmill there.
Let's make a deal.
Super easy to dump those logs in the water, ship them on out to the sawmill.
That's right.
Bam, money, easy money.
So yeah, then like it was on, and he joined forces with, you'll know these names, Brad, John Leary Avenue, Jeremy Thomas Burke,
Oh yeah, Burke
and
Trail.
Daniel Gilman.
Heard of that dude? Absolutely.
So yeah, of the trail fame. When he joined forces with them to buy him in, he got $1,000 an acre for 160 acres. So
Back
I think he
in
lost in a gambling
that
debt.
sounds like a lot of money for back in the day.
Oh, it's monster money.
Yeah.
That's Puff Daddy money in 1890.
That's a lot of fucking
or
money.
1927,
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah,
So what I'm hearing is Seattle invented inflated real estate prices.
Once again.
As we continue to see today.
But we invented it.
and we
here.
invented the
That's right.
National Historical Preservation Society.
We invented the ridiculously
You made it to save
overpriced
Pioneer
real
Square
estate
and Ballard.
prices.
Well, you guys want to
Man, with that, so we've got our work cut out for us, right? So this is an awesome neighborhood. Hattie's Hat, fantastic. Lola, thank you for excellent service and hosting
shout out
us
to
while
Lola.
we're here.
And thanks again for Ben for allowing us to record here at your fine establishment tonight.
Absolutely.
And Lou, you just listed some places we've got to hit soon, maybe even in Series 3, so stay tuned. We've got some other great crap coming along the way, some other surprises. And until then, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe. Check out we have a fresh new website. So if you're listening to this episode like 15 years in the future, the website's not so new and kind of crappy, but don't worry about it. For now, it's pretty darn new. You can go check us out. So there's links to the Patreon account on it. I don't know, maybe
true. We do
We
it.
have our own domain name. Is that what you're telling the fans?
dimlightspodcast.com, biatch.
.com. No .net. This is here. .com.
If you want to check out the
.ba.
page, just go to http://www.dimlightstiffdrink.
Funny story though, you want dimlightspodcast.bar? That's big bucks, biatch.
.bar.
Yeah, and we are not at that caliber yet. None of us have the deepest pockets to buy that domain, but maybe someday.
Thanks to our Patreon members, you want to give a shout out to our
That's right. Check out the website. Click on over to the Patreon account if you're so willing. And with that, we will.
Wait, no. Let me sell it. We've been doing such a bad job. I have a niece. She's actually quite young, but
Here we go. Sob story.
she's like Jeremy too. You
She's
heard
in the
same thing.
hospital and really sick.
No,
needs a
I
liver.
Said, listen to our show. How should we promote it? And she's like, why don't you guys ever mention the name of the show or mention a website or ask for money or do anything?
It's true.
We're just kind of hanging out in the
It's
bar.
true. Well, we're nice guys.
So we're going to do it
Yeah,
right.
We're nice guys.
Please like, share, subscribe.
Damn straight.
Please correspond. Let us know what you think. Give us 5 stars. Any support for the show is much appreciated.
Drop a couple pennies in the
That's
tip
my
jar.
public service announcement.
All
right.
Thanks,
I'm done.
everybody. We'll talk to you next episode.
All right, cheers.
Thanks.